Invincible delivers its most intense episode yet as Mark faces off against the unstoppable Conquest, packed with jaw-dropping action, intense moments, and some very emotional scenes, topped with some brilliant animation. This is one of the best episodes yet. Let's break down the brutal fight, unforgettable moments that makes this episode a standout. Starting out, we get Conquest, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And honestly, I know a lot of people online didn't like him because his voice wasn't deep and gravelly, but I think he did amazing. And this is one of my favorite episodes of the season, if not my favorite. I think, in terms of comparison of previous seasons, this episode has better action than the season one finale. It doesn't hit the emotional notes as well as season one, but this episode was so well done and largely because of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I loved the fight between Conquest and Mark, and they seem to have changed up their animation a little bit. As before, we usually saw it from above or from afar, but they changed a lot of it to be a first person perspective, and we saw a lot more up close of the fights and seeing Mark get dragged through all of the bystanders getting decimated. I really like the changes they made there, as this felt a lot more personal than Mark's previous fights. And what they liked about this fight is essentially here we have two pure-blooded Viltrumites. Mark's as close as you can get. And I like seeing their power level in comparison to Oliver, because Oliver was lagging behind in speed, strength, and he got he got absolutely mopped. And I get that these characters are older, but I think it shows just how pure-blooded of a Viltrumite Mark is, as with Oliver's DNA, he's not going to get anywhere close to how Mark is. And I like how they showed that here without necessarily saying it. I think they did a really great job with that.
But
And
isn't what's his name also like a half breed?
Mark is, but because of how pure blooded, like how pure the Viltrumite DNA is and how compatible Viltrumites and humans are, the Viltrumite DNA almost
Oh,
completely
gotcha, gotcha.
overrides the human DNA versus uh, Oliver's DNA mixed with, I don't know, the bugs. I feel terrible calling them the bugs, but mixed with the bugs, they're not as compatible. So because of that, he's far weaker.
Oh, gotcha.
And the animation's really well done. And there were some really brutal moments in this episode that I just greatly enjoyed. And I like how there was some foreshadowing earlier in this season. I don't remember specifically which episode number it was, but the one where Invincible goes to the future and has the whole conversation with the Immortal, that foreshadowing came into fruition in this episode. And I was so happy about that. I love seeing Adam Eve. I like she's kind of her powers have kind of been a little bit hit or miss, as she can create anything and she kind of just creates pink walls. But I like in this episode how we see her do a lot more and we finally get more teases of what's to come from her, as she's one of my favorite characters and I greatly enjoy watching her continue and grow. I love this episode. I think there are so many things they did right, and I liked how after everything was over, after Invincible War and now this, they finally have a chance to relax. They showed Rex's funeral, which was a lot of fun and very touching scene with some pretty good dialogue. Although I'm still not a huge fan of the Rex Rudy name change. I know they do in the comics. I'm just eh. And I do still like how even though they have this big fantastical superhero show, we still get time to go visit Debbie, see everything from a civilian level, and remind us that not everyone in this show is super.
I'm a huge fan of Jeffrey D. Morgan. I don't have a complaint about his voice. I think he did a great job.
I agree.
I can tell that it's Jeffrey. I'm a fan of the dude, so I'm gonna be a little bit biased, but fuck people that have an issue with like his voice and it not being, a certain way that they perhaps would have wanted it to be. I think he played the character very well. I think that's the type of character he likes playing, like this older, more mature asshole type. I think it fits like a glove on Jeffrey. And this episode starts off just them going through shit all over the place. Um, I didn't love this episode, but I didn't hate it. When I said that to Griff, it kind of caught him off guard. It's very well done. It's still top like animation, top television, as opposed to, a lot of the shit that's out there. I just was left. Maybe it's the fact that I, for some reason, forgot this was the last episode and I was kind of waiting for more. I think maybe that's what it is. It's still very, very well done. And another one of the things that it didn't hit the emotional part for me as well as Griff said as season one did. I think that's what it was. But other than that, I don't have anything to complain about the episode. The animation continues to really engage me. The action is I just don't even have any words for how well the action is done in this show. The characters are well written. There are points where I don't know if I'm rooting for the bad guy or if I want the good guy to win. I'm a sucker for a good guy who gets the shit kicked into him and still gets up. To me, the dynamic works because he's out there with his little brother essentially, but he's concerned about his little brother, like anyone would be. Like, I know that he could hold his own, but I also don't want him to get his ass trashed, which happens pretty much throughout the entire episode. I dig that, man. And I dig that even though this guy is a Viltrumite and he's very powerful, he's still all bloodied up and getting his
Hmm.
ass torn to
And
pieces.
he enjoys it.
And he's still going at it.
I will say I do actually have one bad thing about this episode. It's dumb as fuck, but I feel like in a show of this caliber, this is a very glaring mistake. The fact that when Conquest and Mark went up into space, we can hear them panting and breathing, but they're in space.
But it is a very enjoyable show. If you've not yet given it a chance, please go do so. It's on Amazon Prime. Now you get to enjoy 3 seasons right off the bat, which is awesome. Because I think that would get a little bit more engaged
Yeah.
from people. Like, if you're not a fan of the show, if you didn't even know this is a comic, and you sit through episode 1 and 2 of season one, you may end up just binging the whole damn show. And I think I may do that, man. I think I may
Oh
just
yeah.
binge the show.
You should. This is as we said, this is the finale. I really am gonna miss Invincible Thursdays. I'm such a huge fan, but it did leave a lot of teasers at the end of this episode, as there's an after credit scene and the scene beforehand teasing what's gonna come in season four, which has been confirmed. Let us know in the comments which ones you're most excited for. Personally, I'm really excited to see the conclusion of the Sequids. I think that's gonna be really fun, as they've been teasing it since season one. There's gonna be so many fun things next season. I do hope we get a season five confirmation, as they've been confirming one season out every single time. Usually it's about a
We
week
will.
after the finale. Honestly, I hope they just give them all 7 seasons. That's what I want. That would be perfect.
Yeah, I didn't know that we were going that deep until Griff showed me how many comics there are. There's a lot of material there, and I haven't read the comics, but I think, being friends with Griffin, being friends with another buddy of ours, Kenny, I think I haven't heard them bitch and complain about them screwing up the comics, so I think we're on the right path.
Oh, the
Again,
show's better than the comic every time.
I can't recommend. That's always awesome. When your show, movie, or TV series is better than the comic, that's always awesome. That's how I feel about Daredevil, the Netflix run. I think Daredevil, the Netflix show, is better than the comics. And the fact that Griffin has read a ton of these comics and he can sit here and tell you guys the show's better than the comics, that's fucking awesome. I love when that happens, man. If I hear that from Kenny, that's just not that Griff's opinion doesn't fucking matter, but
Oh, I
it's just
talked to
like,
him about it today.
give,
He agrees.
oh, there you go. That's it. Enough said. I don't need to say anything else.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new and you haven't seen our previous Invincible reviews, you can go check them out right now on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Take care, guys.